Once upon a time, in a world not so different from our own, lived a little boy named Leo. Leo was a child filled with wonder. He was curious about everything, and his heart was as kind as a warm summer day. He found joy in the simple things, like the vibrant colors of wild flowers and the gentle scurrying of small animals. His love for nature was boundless. One beautiful, sun-drenched morning, Leo and his family went for a walk at the edge of a great, green forest. The trees stood like ancient giants, their branches reaching for the sky, while the sweet melodies of birds filled the air, creating a perfect soundtrack for their family outing. Leo was happy, holding his parents' hands, taking in all the sights and sounds. But then something magical caught his eye. A butterfly, unlike any he had ever seen before, fluttered past. Its wings were a brilliant, shimmering shade of blue, sparkling in the sunlight like tiny jewels. Leo was mesmerized. He had to get a closer look. He let go of his mother's hand and began to follow the enchanting creature. Step by step, he tiptoed after the butterfly, his eyes locked on its graceful dance. He followed it past a large oak tree, over a patch of soft moss, and around a cluster of colorful mushrooms. With each step, the world of the forest drew him in deeper. He was so focused on the butterfly that he didn't notice the path behind him disappearing. He didn't notice the sounds of his family's laughter fading away, replaced by the rustle of leaves and the whisper of the wind. Finally, the beautiful blue butterfly fluttered high up into the canopy and vanished from sight. Leo stopped and blinked, looking up at the sky. He turned around, expecting to see his family just a few steps away. But they weren't there. He looked to his left, then to his right. All he could see were trees, endless rows of tall, silent trees. The familiar path was gone. The voices were gone. Leo realized, with a sudden jolt in his heart, that he was lost. At first, a wave of fear washed over him. The forest, which had seemed so welcoming just moments ago, now felt vast and intimidating. The silence was heavy, broken only by the distant call of an unknown bird. His small shoulders began to tremble, and his eyes filled with tears that threatened to spill down his cheeks. He felt very, very small and very, very alone. The world seemed to have shrunk down to just him and the towering, unfamiliar trees. But just as a sob was about to escape his lips, Leo remembered something his mother always told him. Her voice echoed gently in his mind. When you feel scared, Leo, just stop, take a deep breath and look round. Really look, so Leo did just that. He stood very still. He closed his eyes for a second and took a long, deep breath in, filling his lungs with the fresh, earthy scent of the forest. He held it for a moment and then slowly let it out. He opened his eyes and looked around again. And this time, something was different. The forest didn't look so scary anymore. He noticed how the sunlight was filtering through the leaves high above, creating dancing patterns of light and shadow on the ground. It looked like the forest floor was covered in golden coins. He heard the wind again, but now it sounded like a soft, gentle whisper, making the branches sway as if they were dancing slowly. He realized the forest wasn't empty and silent, it was full of life and quiet beauty. He might be lost, but he wasn't truly alone. Just then, a flash of movement caught his eye. A small, bushy-tailed squirrel scampered down a nearby tree trunk. It stopped on the ground, its little black eyes looking directly at Leo. It twitched its nose and tilted its head, as if it were asking a question. Leo's fear began to melt away, replaced by his natural curiosity. "Hello," Leo said softly, his voice barely a whisper, not wanting to frighten the little creature. The squirrel, startled by the sound, darted away in a flash of brown fur. Leo's heart sank a little. But then, to his surprise, the squirrel stopped a few feet away and looked back at him. It chattered once, then ran a little further before stopping again, its tail flicking. It was as if the squirrel was saying, "Come on, follow me." A small smile spread across Leo's face. He decided to trust the little guide. He followed the squirrel carefully, stepping over roots and around bushes. The squirrel led him through the trees, always staying just ahead, making sure Leo was still following. Soon, the gentle sound of running water reached their ears. The squirrel led him to a clearing where a crystal-clear river flowed peacefully. There, drinking from the water's edge, was a graceful deer with large, gentle eyes. The deer looked up as they approached, but it didn't run. It simply watched them with a calm, serene expression. It seemed friendly. As Leo stood by the river, a little bird with a bright yellow chest flew down from a branch above. It landed nearby and began to sing a cheerful, happy tune. It was the most beautiful song Leo had ever heard. The animals weren't scared of him, and he wasn't scared of them. The squirrel stayed close, the deer watched over him, and the bird serenaded him. They were his new forest friends. As the afternoon wore on, the sun began its descent, painting the sky in breathtaking shades of orange, pink, and gold. The whole forest seemed to glow with a warm, magical light. Leo started to feel tired from his long, unexpected adventure. His little legs ached, and a big yawn escaped his mouth. Sensing his weariness, the friendly deer moved slowly and led Leo toward a gigantic, ancient tree. At its base, the ground was covered in a thick, soft carpet of green grass. It looked like the most comfortable bed in the world. The little bird flew down and placed a large, clean leaf on the grass, like a tiny pillow. A moment later, the squirrel scampered up, dropped a single, perfect nut next to him, a small offering of food, and then sat nearby, watching. It wasn't his house, and it wasn't his bed, but as Leo sat down on the soft grass, leaning against the strong trunk of the old tree, he felt a profound sense of safety and peace. Surrounded by his new friends, he felt cared for. He closed his eyes just for a moment and rested. As darkness began to settle in the forest, a faint, soft light flickered in the distance. At first, Leo thought it was a firefly. But it grew brighter and steadier. It was a lantern. Hope surged through him. He jumped to his feet, his tiredness forgotten. He waved both of his hands high in the air. "Here I am," he shouted, his voice ringing through the quiet woods. "I'm over here." The light moved closer, and soon he could see the figure of a person holding it. It was a forest ranger. The ranger saw him and a warm, kind smile spread across his face. "There you are," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "We've been looking for you. You're safe now." As the ranger led him away, Leo looked back. The squirrel, the deer, and the bird were watching quietly from the edge of the trees, their figures silhouetted against the twilight. They had kept him safe. Leo waved a final goodbye to them. "Thank you, my friends," he whispered into the wind, hoping they would hear. That night, Leo was back in the warm, loving embrace of his family. They hugged him so tightly, their hearts overflowing with relief and joy. Tucked into his own bed, Leo fell asleep almost instantly. He slept peacefully, his dreams filled with the magical forest. He dreamed of a curious squirrel, a gentle deer, and a bird with a beautiful song. Leo learned something very important that day. He learned that even when you feel lost and scared, there is strength to be found within yourself. He learned that by staying calm, being kind, and paying attention to the nature around you, you can find your way. And sometimes you might even make some wonderful, unexpected friends along the journey. Thank you so much for listening to Leo's story. If you enjoyed it, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more adventures. See you next time.